Hello guys, once again it's Matt, and today we have another video. Let's thank our members first: Invictus, Crazy Bull Cots, and our Patreons, Interceptor, Richardson, Danny Cage, and Rupert. These are the Foxhound and the Fulcrum members and Patreons. Thank you all the members, all the Patreons, and let's get into it. So today we are going to talk a little bit about if subtrees are actually the future of War Thunder. So here I point out, we are getting into a position where we will probably see some nations still, some bigger nations, and maybe even some like combined nation kind of thing, like China is, I know China is just one and whatever, but still, it's like North Korea and South Korea, right? Or something similar to that. I know politically it's different, I know, but the point is two or more nations or two or more groups, if you want to, you can call it like that, and they will join and be one nation. Maybe we will see some bigger nations being added, like Yugoslavia, or maybe, I don't know, there's not much to it, right? Like bigger nations, they are all in game right now, but anyway, we can always have some other nation, but the bigger ones we already have, and there's not much else to be added in that sense, So I think the next step would be to add some of these more, like, less, I mean, there will be a lot of copy-paste, but less capable of producing their own vehicles a little bit. So, as I said, Yugoslavia, the Koreas, some more Asian nations, maybe Latin America, or some countries of Latin America together at least. Like Brazil or Argentina, maybe some Arab countries or something like that, we will probably see some of these nations together at some point in a particular nation, or, for example, the South Korean and the North Korean, the same nation, maybe same tech tree, maybe something like that. But what is the next step beyond that? And even not only beyond that, I mean, right now, even to complement these smaller trees anyway, we will probably have to have a lot of subtrees. And are those subtrees the future of War Thunder? I think they are, because it will get to a point that there will be no nations to be added that are particularly, that have a lot of vehicles. So they will end up having to deal with this situation. As I said, one of the solutions is to add the nation together with other nations. So, for example, a North Korean tech tree would be too small to be alone. Maybe not that small because Israel is there, right? But still, it's kind of too small to be alone, kind of. So why not add it to China, for example, or add it as a all Korean tech tree together with the South, So that's one of the ways that you can deal with the situation, as I said. The second way is adding subtrees, as I said, adding it as a subtree for the Chinese. For example, you already have Finland on Sweden, and Sweden is, from nowhere, like, it was a nation that was very good, but it was kind of forgotten, and a lot of people, not forgotten, I don't think they ever forget about a nation, but the point is that it was kind of a minor nation player base wise, Not a lot of people were playing Sweden, and one of the reasons were that there isn't many vehicles to research there, and once you get them, they're pretty fun to fly, but if you really, only if you really like those vehicles, you will be playing a lot of them. For example, the Vegan. I think it's a very fun aircraft and very cool, but only a person that really enjoys flying Vegans will fly a Vegan for all eternity, right? Just like myself with the MiGs. I think each of us have a way to a plane that we like or a nation that we like, and we will play that more. But the majority of time, you will end up, I wanted to try, for example, the other MiG-21 that the Germans have, or I don't know, I want to test it out, the F-14 or anything like that, and you ended up grinding. I think this is the majority of the players you ended up grinding a lot of the nations, or at least like 3 or 4 even. So for the majority of the nation, the players, I think, you know. So I just think that there are some nations that for the majority of players, it will be kind of bad, you know. And as a help for those nations, the subtrees are a very good addition. So this Finnish tech subtree right now for the Swedish is pretty good, because you not only you are, I mean, I know it's only kind of copy paste right now, but still it opens up the gate for some stuff that will be fun to fly and drive on the Swedish tech tree, and something that a lot of these stuff wouldn't even be able to be added to the game. So it's just a matter of, you know, not only you are making a nation like Sweden a little bit more stronger or more diverse in a certain way, even if it's with copy paste, but you are also making some vehicles that would never be in game. So obviously the Finnish tech tree right now, as I said, it has a lot of copy paste, but it opens up some vehicles that can be added there, opens up even the gate to the other Scandinavian nations like Denmark or Norway as well, that can have even more different vehicles and more variants of vehicles that we already have in game. So it just not only helps Sweden be a more strong nation, it also includes some vehicles that would probably never be in game. So once we get getting back to the point, right? Once we get to the future that we kind of don't have anything else to be added in the major nations in the sense of bigger things, you know. Once we get, for example, to a more advanced MiG-29, even, I don't know, we can dream about it. I mean, even if we get, for example, for the Soviet Union, the Armata and the Su-57, for example, in the far long future. I mean, what is that? What is there to be added anymore? There is always vehicles to be added in that sense, but subtrees will also complement a nation like that. You know, it will bring vehicles that are unique or different, or even the same, but with different skins or anything like that, that are just unique for that nation. You know, so. Yeah, maybe I mean, I don't think we should be adding subtrees for the USSR. For Germany, it's kind of alright, but especially for the USA and USSR, I think these two nations, they have so many vehicles to be added in the future. And I mean, even tanks, we kind of we hit it a certain limit in tanks, and we still have a lot of tanks for the Soviets, for example, to be added. Even for the Americans, we have some. So it's problematic, you know? So think about it. I mean, I still think that for the US and USSR, it's not really worth it. But for other nations, most of the other nations, I think it is, you know? So we have, for example, Italy with Hungary and Romania, two countries that were basically in all sorts of sides, you know? They were in the Axis sides, kind of, in World War II. And then they were in the Soviet side in the Cold War, and then now they are kind of depends, right? But they're kind of in the NATO side of things, right? So they will have multiple types of varieties of vehicles to be added, you know, and it will make Italy stronger. So it's just something that goes along together, you know. So not only you are being able to become a more stronger nation as Italy, you're also adding unique vehicles or different skins for vehicles or different stuff for a nation that wasn't in the game right now, that doesn't have enough vehicles to be its standalone nation, you know. So there's a lot of, I think, wiggle room here, but it's complicated. I don't think every nation should be that, and I still think we need to separate things. So for example, the Scandinavian, I think it should be one tree with all 4 nations. Of course, Iceland is technically a Scandinavian country, but it doesn't have armed forces, if I'm not mistaken. Or if it has, it doesn't have airplanes at least, or tanks. So it wouldn't be in the game, right? But yeah, Sweden receiving all the four nations of the Scandinavian part there of Europe. Maybe Italy receiving some of these Eastern Bloc countries as well. Maybe, I don't know, China can receive the North Korea as well. Japan can receive South Korea, I don't know, or other countries, Singapore or Malaysia, or I don't know. We can always have more nations, you know, but there is a limit. And that limit, I think, I mean, I don't think we should see, for example, a Brazilian sub-tree for the US, for example, or for France, because we basically used all sorts of vehicles. So for those nations, I still think that they should be grouped with another ones, you know, and become one nation, one big nation. So for example, you add most of the Latin American countries and you become one nation, right? Even Africa can have some interesting vehicles and stuff like that, some modifications of MiGs and stuff. But Korea's, for example, as I said, one of the options is also to be added as one nation. But since alone they are going to be very small, you put them together, you know, North and South. It would be kind of politically weird, but as I said, China is already in game the way it is. So if China is like that, even though I know there is other stuff to consider, but if China is like that in game, I think we should be fine with Korea, North Korea and South Korea in the same tech tree, you know. But anyway, it's just that's the idea, you know. I think, in my opinion, we are getting into a position that there isn't much else to be added in the sense of bigger nations, you know. So there's two paths: subtrees or joint nations, you know, tech trees. So yeah, international tech trees, if you will, you know. I think Gaijin is considering that with the Finnish. I mean, it's already something that they are doing, you know. With Israel, with like kind of being a minor nation, a very small nation, they can also open up the gates to have smaller nations like that. Even Korea, for example, even though they are going to have like early stuff from World War II, it will basically start on rank 4 anyway, or even rank 3 maybe, but not much past beyond that, I think. So yeah, it's kind of the only way, maybe. It's subtrees or joint nations, you know, tech trees. So yeah, let me know in the comments if you like this idea, you know, that once we get to a point, I mean, or right now, we get more subtrees. Even though they are going to have a lot of copy-paste, I still think they are worth it. Maybe you don't. A lot of people complain about copy-paste. But leave it in the comments what you think about it. Make sure to subscribe. Make sure to be a member. Make sure to join our Patreon. And I see you guys on the next one. So bye, guys. Let me know in the comments.